Italy is famous for its many excellent high-speed trains, but not all of them live up to the same standards. Today I'm riding Trenitalia's ETR 485 Pendolino, which starts off on the high-speed line from Rome to just before Naples, before switching to a slow and mountainous route all the way to Bari and eventually Lecce, a journey that takes nearly 6 hours. With Italy's usual high standards when it comes to high-speed trains, I had high expectations for this journey, but as issues kept popping up, I was left disappointed in the end. So join me on board this version of the Pendolino as I show why you might want to avoid it in the future. Our journey begins from the concrete jungle that is Rome Termini station. The outside area of the station is honestly not very pleasant, with lots of traffic and poorly maintained paths, so let's head inside the station building where things improve slightly. Heading inside, the building gets a lot nicer. But as the busiest rail station in the entirety of Italy, it is often very crowded. The station spans multiple levels with lots of options to grab a bite to eat, do some last minute shopping before a long journey, or perhaps grab an espresso from Italy's favorite coffee chain. My top tip, if you have some time to kill at the station, is to head upstairs to the food court and grab a seat at one of the eateries offering views of all the trains. For instance, you can see this Foggia 1000, which is probably Trenitalia's best high-speed train. However, we will probably be catching their worst high-speed train today, so let's head through to the platform. In order to access the platforms, you will have to scan your ticket at the gate line. It's a simple process, and then the doors will open. Termini is a very busy station, with local and regional trains leaving for all sorts of destinations alongside intercity and high-speed trains. High-speed rail competition is fierce in Italy, with both Trenitalia, the state operator, and private operator Italo offering high-quality trains at very competitive prices. But on the route we'll be catching today, the competition from Italo is very limited. Right, I think it's about time to head over to the platform and board what might be the worst high-speed train in Trenitalia's fleet. This is the ETR 485, part of the storied Pendolino family of high-speed trains. The trains were built by Fiat in Italy, which later became Alstom, and have an in-service top speed of 250 km per hour. Our service will be the 1505 bound for Lecce. Right, let's head on board. Today we will be traveling in second class. Every ticket comes with a seat reservation, with ours being located in coach number 9. My first impression is that the interior is looking a little bit dated and cramped, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Our seat is all the way at the end of the carriage, and I will have to say first impressions is that the seat looks pretty comfortable. And a few moments after sitting down, our train departs Roma Termini at 15:10, running 5 minutes behind schedule. Fun fact as we make our way out of Termini station. The Termini part of the station's name doesn't actually come from the station being the main terminal in Rome, but rather it's named after the district it's located inside of, which gets its name Termini from some former public baths in the area. And now, as we have navigated our way out of the complex junctions beyond the station, let's take a closer look at the route we'll be following today. Our high-speed train will depart from Rome following the high-speed line towards Naples, which we'll follow to just before our station stop in Caserta. Here we'll take the route following the mountains in the center of Italy over to Foggia. After a change of direction, our train will continue south via Bari to its final destination, Lecce. All of this is scheduled to take 5 hours 24 minutes to cover the distance of 629 kilometers, which lands the train an average speed of 117 kilometers per hour. As we head for the start of the high-speed line, we pass by the depot of Trenitalia's night and intercity trains. Even the beautifully restored tourist retro sleeper train was parked here. This incredible overnight train was actually gonna be my way back from Lecce, but unfortunately they had to cancel the train a couple of weeks in advance. As we reach the outskirts of Rome, we can finally begin accelerating towards our maximum speed. And what a stunning day for some high-speed train travel at 250 km per hour. And it was at speed I noticed the first bad thing about this train. The ride quality is actually very poor, with the train often shaking quite a bit. It's by no means horrible, but it's certainly a noticeable downgrade from Italy's other high-speed trains. But while the ride quality isn't the end of the world, there is one thing about these trains I find borderline unacceptable. But that will have to wait, because now, after about 1 hour, we are leaving the high-speed railway line, where we instead rejoin with Italy's classic railway network, allowing speeds of up to about 200 km per hour. Soon arriving at our first station stop. This is Caserta, and after having ridden one of Italy's fastest railway lines, we are now about to switch onto one of Italy's slowest railway lines. This is the mostly single-track railway cutting across the Campania mountains, at not very impressive speeds. Luckily, that is set to change in the very near future, but before we talk about that, let me go show you the rest of the train's interior. Starting all the way from the back of the train, right by the cab, where surprisingly you will find a toilet. It was in a slightly tired state. However, the water was functional, soap was provided, but I couldn't get the dryer to work at all. So to dry your hand, you could use the toilet paper, which I couldn't figure out how to properly pull out. Overall, I'd say the toilet was acceptable. Continuing down the second class carriage, I will say the interior feels a bit dark, cramped and perhaps a little dated. It just doesn't feel quite up to the standards of Italy's other high-speed trains. Like the ETR 500 for example, despite having very similar seats, it just doesn't feel this way. Throughout the train you will find some limited luggage racks, but unfortunately this is not enough to cope with all the luggage people are bringing on these services. As the rest of second class is largely similar, let's skip ahead to perhaps the best feature of the train, the onboard cafe and espresso bar. It's not a full dining car like on the Finnish version of this train, but there's a good coffee machine, as well as plenty of snacks and sandwiches. At the other end of the carriage, there's also plenty of seating. At last, towards the front of the train, you'll find first class. It has very similar seats to second, just with more legroom, as well as wider seats in a 1+2 layout, as you'd expect. I also really like Trenitalia's information displays in general. They show a lot of information and rotate between 4 different languages. Back at my seat, we are now traveling very slow for 2 reasons. As a single-track railway line, we often have to slow down or wait for other trains going in the other direction to pass. But also because the line is under heavy reconstruction as part of the Naples to Bari high-speed railway line. Expected to be fully complete around 2027, this will cut journey times on services like ours by up to about 2 hours. But this Pendolino train actually has a small trick up its sleeves, allowing it to run slightly quicker on these older, curvier routes. But before I can show you that, we have to make a quick stop at Benevento. And as the line remains quite curvy and slow after our stop here, the train can use its tilting system, allowing the train to lean slightly into the curves, meaning the ride remains comfortable for passengers, but allowing higher speeds than conventional trains. After Benevento, the line gradually becomes less mountainous, and by the time we're approaching Foggia, the terrain is pretty much flat. And before I show you the thing I find truly unacceptable about these trains, let's check out the Wi-Fi. It was straight up broken. I couldn't get my phone to connect to it or get any signal from it, so I guess try your own luck or bring a SIM card. Just outside of Foggia, we merge with the line from Lecce and Bari. And after a brief stop, where the driver has to run to the other end of the train, we are now heading out of the station the same way we came in. And as we are running out of daylight, it's time to finally have a look at the seat, and I'll show you why I'll try to avoid this train in the future. While the seat looks good on the surface, in my opinion it has two major issues. First of which is plug placement. It's right next to your leg, meaning any adapter will uncomfortably dig into you. It's also shared with the aisle seat. The tray table is fine, it's quite large and sturdy. The bin over here also annoyingly digs into your leg space. Making slightly up for it is that the seat is very well padded and it's very comfortable. Except for one thing. The legroom is abysmal, especially for a long distance train doing 6-hour journeys. It feels similar to the amount of legroom I get on Ryanair. And it really surprised me. The airline style second class seats on the Frecciarossi 1000 or ETR 600 are completely fine, so I don't really know what went wrong here. Before the sun completely sets, we make a stop in Barletta. And as dusk approaches, we call in Bari Centrale, one of Italy's most important harbour cities. And as we roll into darkness, it's time to start summarizing this trip. Overall, the ETR 485 is an old train by now, and it's showing both in the interior and exterior. It's not necessarily a bad train, but compared to everything else currently running on the Italian high-speed tracks, it just feels worse. Combine this with the truly awful legroom, I can't say I recommend this train. While I won't go out of my way to avoid it, if there is another train on the same day, operated by another type of train, I'd probably book that instead. And as we now approach Lecce, let's talk about tickets. I booked my ticket about 3 weeks in advance on the Trenitalia website, which set me back 36 euros, including a 2 euro fee to select a specific seat. I think this is good value considering the distance travelled. Our train pulls into Lecce station a couple minutes behind schedule. So, what do you think about Italian high-speed rail in general or the ETR 485? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as I try to post a new one every Sunday. You can also follow me over on Blue Sky at intercitysimon.com. I usually post live from my travels in real time there, so it's a great place to get a sneak peek at what videos might be coming on the channel in the future. Thanks for watching.